Hey guys, my name is Katrina, and I am here to tell you how you can pass your NASM CPT exam in 24 hours. I want to preface by saying that I don't necessarily recommend doing this. If you have the time to study, whether it's a couple months or a couple weeks, take it. You're going to save yourself a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. However, if you have already scheduled your exam and you're in the same boat that I was in, hopefully I can help you out a little bit. So, for starters, I'm going to give you a really quick background of me, basically. So, I started training back in 2016 and I got certified through NASM at that time. I purchased the program. I was a complete noob to the fitness world. All I had ever done was play sports and exercise. I really didn't know anything about anatomy or form or anything. So I was brand new, so I really took the time to study. I took the test the first time, failed, and then took another, I think, 2 months to study and then retook the test and I passed. Shortly after I started training, I got a promotion to management and kind of figured I'd probably not need my certification after that and let it expire, which first tip, don't let your certification expire because you never know what's going to come in the future. Years passed and I had a baby a year ago and decided that I wanted the flexibility that fitness brings me, that training brings me. And I also love training. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. And so I decided to come back to this industry. And of course, I had to get recertified. So I decided to go with NASM because I wanted a refresher. I really loved the information that it provides. I loved the kind of jump start it gives you into this industry. And so that brings me here. So I was working in real estate at the time and started to apply, got offered a job. I gave my current position 3 months notice. So I had 3 months from the day I repurchased NASM to the day I scheduled my exam. And if you have a baby, you know that days go by very quickly. So my plan was to study in the evenings. And before I knew it, I had 2 months and then I had 1 month before my exam. And then I had 2 weeks and I was kind of freaking out. And again, days just kind of kept going by and I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. And I just didn't. So I literally had 3 days before I had my exam and I had not even opened the program. Again, do not recommend, but if you're here, hopefully I can help you out. So what I ended up doing is I had scheduled my exam for a Friday so that I could have the weekend to just chill and decompress. And so I ended up taking off the Thursday before my exam, the entire day. And my husband was on baby duty. And I said, don't bother me, leave me alone, because I have 24 hours before my exam. So this is what I did. I logged into the program. The very first thing I did was I took the practice exam that it gives you. I can't remember how many questions. I think it's like 150 questions. Before I studied anything, I just wanted to kind of give myself a jumping off point so I could see what areas I knew that I didn't really have to focus on as much and what areas I really needed to focus the studying on. So I took that, and then after that, I reviewed every single question. I reviewed the questions that I got right and the questions that I got wrong. I ended up getting a 68 the first time, so I was not that far off of what I actually needed to pass, which I was like pretty impressed by because I've been out of this world for a couple years. After I took that, back in 2016, the first time I failed the exam, I left the testing center, I went into my car and I wrote down notes about all of the topics that were on the exam that I had taken. If you don't know, NASM has, I think it's 12 different variations of the exam that you can take. So you never know what variation you're going to get. I have now taken this test 3 times because back in 2016, I took it twice and then I just took it again in 2024. So I kind of have, I think, a pretty good knowledge of what's actually on this exam. So I'm going to link that outline below because it helped me a lot. This many years later, it helped me know what specific topics to really focus on because there's a lot in the book that you honestly don't really need to know. But anyways, so after I took that practice exam, I went and I read through my outline, and I literally read through the bullet points, and I said, okay, I know this one, check. I don't know this one. So if I didn't know a topic, say amino acids, I would log into the program. I would search in the textbook amino acids. I would go to that chapter and I would read the paragraphs that basically went over that topic. I would read all of the key terms. I would look at the tables, and I wouldn't like linger because again, I had one day. So I would read it quickly, say, okay, got it. If it was a little bit confusing, I might read it 2 or 3 times, but once I kind of had it in my brain, I went to the next one. So once I got through that whole outline, I found 2 YouTube videos. I'm going to link those below. He does an incredible job at explaining the textbook, but in a way that's very, very easy to understand. He goes over the key points in the exams, the key points in the textbooks that you really need to know, and explains it in everyday verbiage, because the textbook, I think, can be kind of confusing. So you have to check those out. I promise. I think he's the only reason I passed this test. One of them's an hour and one of them's an hour and a half. The first time I watched them, so after I did my outline, then I watched these 2 YouTube videos. I sat on my bed and I watched them and I took notes. And then I went on a walk with my daughter and I listened to them like a podcast. And then came back home, ate some lunch, gave my brain a rest. And then I took the practice exam another time. And at this point, it was like 8 p.m. or something. So I took it one more time. This time I only reviewed the answers that I got incorrect. I got a 68 again. So I had like no improvement. So I was like, crap, this is not good. But, I was like, it is what it is. And then after that, I stopped and I said, okay, I'm going to chill, watch a movie, eat some dinner, relax. And then I woke up the next morning. I had about 4 hours before I had scheduled my exam. I made sure I'd scheduled it like late morning, so I had time to drink some coffee, wake up, eat breakfast. And the morning of the exam, they have a study guide in the NASM program that goes over the entire book. And it's pretty long. It's like 30 something pages. But it goes over the key terms, it goes over just details that you really need to know for the exam throughout the whole textbook. And I read through that quickly. I did not linger. I read through each term. I stayed on specific topics that I thought were necessary or that I didn't quite understand. And so I read through that whole study guide, and then I stopped and I was like, okay, it's time to go. So I left, and while I was parked in the parking lot and while I was waiting for the exam, I got there like 15 minutes early. I quickly read over the underactive and overactive muscles, because that, at least in the other 2 exams I took, was one of the main components of my exam. And once I felt good about that, I was like, all right, here we go. So this brings me to my next topic, which is a couple of just general tips for the exam itself. Again, I've taken this 3 times, so I think I have a pretty good understanding of what the exam has to offer. So when you take the NASM practice test, I think that the wording of the questions can be like very, very confusing. Some of them sound like riddles and you have to read it 10 times and you're like, I still don't understand what it's saying. I'm just going to pick an answer. The actual NASM exam that you take at the testing center is not like that. The questions are very easy to understand. They're very straight to the point. Honestly, a lot of them are just common sense. And every single question is going to have 2 answers that it could be. I don't know if that's just how multiple choice tests are or if that's just specific to NASM, but every single question, it's like, oh, it could be that one or that one. So here's why I failed the very first time in 2016. What I did, I get really bad test anxiety. I don't know why. I've gotten it my whole life. So the first time I went in and took the test, I read a question and I'd be like, I think that answer's wrong. I would flag it and then I would go to the next question. And I did that, I swear, for like 50% of the questions. And so by the end, I had like 100 questions I had flagged. And then I went back to them and I changed my answer. And I swear to you that that's why I failed, because I was second guessing myself. So the second time I went in to take my exam, and then this time in 24. I went in, I read the question, and I said, that's the answer. And I clicked it and went to the next one. I didn't linger. I didn't question myself. I didn't second guess. Almost always, if you go with your gut, you're going to be right. Obviously, there were some questions that I was like, I have literally no idea. It could be anything. Those are the ones that I flagged and just went to the next one. I didn't spend 10 minutes on a question sitting there being like, what is it? Because a lot of times if you go through, other questions will pop up and it'll kind of give you either something in your brain you'll remember, or it'll almost give you the answer for maybe those questions that you're not sure about. And then I think those are really like my biggest tips for you. And the other thing I tried to tell myself to get over my test anxiety is just, it's okay if I don't pass. Like, it is not the end of the world. I'm not going to lose my job. Like, it's all good. I'm not going to fail a class. This is just one test. I have another attempt I can do, and it's all good. And if I fail, I will remember what topics I need to study more, and so I can pass next time. And honestly, I think that was like, it really was just a huge mindset shift, and I think it really changed a lot for me. So, and then another thing about the exam that's nice is the second you hit submit, you get your answer. It pops up on the screen, so you don't have to sit there and wait. It doesn't tell you anymore what your score is. It used to tell you, but this time I didn't get a score. I just got a pass or fail. So hopefully that helps. Good luck. Let me know if this helps and if you guys pass in the comments below. Very curious, and good luck with your new adventure in life. Training is incredible and it's so much fun. And let me know if you have any questions.